Hi everyone. Uh, Hope you guys are doing well. In today's session, we have very reputed speaker, Mr. Nadir Sayed. In this episode, he's gonna explain us how to start the journey of fitness in the proper way. He is the very experienced coach, and at present is working with Fitter Group, which is previously called as a Squad. And I think this video is very small to explain his biography. And he's a very famous nutritionist, which is he is passed out from very reputed university and highly qualified. So let's see what he's gonna taught us today in this video. Hopefully it will be help you in your fitness journey. Take care guys, stay home, stay safe, and take care of yourself and your family members.
Hi, I'm Sheikh Nadir Siddiqui, an advanced level coach with Fitter. First of all, thanks a lot for inviting me here to give you an insight on fitness and how to achieve it. But before I do that, I would want to salute you guys for being on the front line and helping out people. Thank you so much, and let's move forward and understand what fitness is. So, fitness by definition is nothing but a state of health and well-being. If I have to explain it in layman terms, it's just an ability to do a day-to-day life activity efficiently. Now, fitness doesn't just mean good looks. Fitness is much beyond that. But fitness means that you are mentally and physically fit. Okay, fitness goes by mind, body, and soul. So all these three components need to be fit. At the same time, the physical aspect plays a very major role, and that helps you boost your confidence, and it definitely helps you being functionally fit. So let's start with discussing with the physical aspect of fitness, where we measure fitness or health status based on two different ways. One is your BMI, which is called your body mass index, which was earlier popularly used to track if somebody is obese or not. So usually the healthy range is between 18.5 to 24.9. If a person has a BMI between this range, within this range, then they are called to be fit and fine. But what it doesn't really consider is anything apart from your body weight and your height. Okay, now this is a problem. So the formula of a BMI is nothing but your body weight in kgs by meter square of your height. Okay. Now here it is not considering your body fat, your muscles, your water, organs, tissues, or bone. So this is the problem. You don't really can determine if somebody is fit or not. So let's say if there is a person who is a skinny fat person, so the weight and as per the height, the weight is lying in an ideal range. So the BMI would be ideal as well, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that person is fit and fine. Okay. So what we should be focusing on to get more detailed in terms of tracking if you are fine or not. So that would lead us to check our body composition. When we check our body composition, we are checking what our body fat percentage is, what our muscle mass is, what our bone density is, how much water do we store in our body, and organs and tissues can be ignored right now. Okay, because that is anyways a necessary thing that our body requires. So let's focus on fat, muscle, and water here. Now, what are the ways that we can check our body fat percentage? So one is a bioimpedance machine, which you would find in most of the health clinics or gymnasiums or fitness centers. So there is a electrode that you hold and you can check your body fat percentage. Though it's not very accurate, but it gives you a relative idea of where you stand. Okay, and then there is a caliper which could be used to identify your fat percentage based on your measurements taken on 3 different areas. And then there is a DEXA scan, okay, which is present in clinics, which is used to check your bone density. That could give a more accurate number of your body fat percentage. And then there is a underwater hydrostatic weighing, which is not very feasible. So the initial 3 processes could be used to determine what your body fat percentage is. Once you have the body fat percentage in mind and you have identified that, then you need to work on that. So a healthy body fat percentage for a male would be somewhere between 10 to 15% of total body fat percentage. 10 to 15% fat is of total body weight is fine. And for females, it would lie somewhere between 18 to 25% of the total body. So that this is the healthy range of for men and women. So men 10 to 15, and for women it's 18 to 25%. So let's focus on the important important components of your body, which is fat, muscle and water. Now water, it's really important to stay hydrated. Why? Now your body is composed of 60 to 70% water, which means that it can have a huge impact on your body weight, and that's the reason that you see a fluctuation on your daily weight. Even on the same day, if you check your weight 3 different times, it will be impacted by the presence of water in your body. So if you drink less water, the body will tend to retain more water. If you drink more water, the body will try not to retain as much water as it would in the other case. Okay. Now we need to focus on muscle mass. It's really important. Why? Because one, your energy expenditure is hugely dependent upon how much muscle mass you hold. Okay, and your other activities as well, but muscle mass plays a huge important role here. The other role that muscle mass has is it slows down the process of aging. So the demerits that you get with the age related degeneration is reduced if you have good muscle mass, and then your functional strength. If your joints and movements, you want your joints and movements to be working fine, it's really important that the muscular system is strong, so that the support system is strong. So it's really important that you focus on your muscle mass and figure out a way on how to lose fat from your body. So these are a few important things that you need to focus while starting your fitness goals. So like I said, we need to figure out a way on how to lose our body fat. Okay. Now there is a difference between fat loss and weight loss. Like I earlier explained, the body composition matters. So it's not just about the weight, but what amount of or what component of the body parts or the body are you losing? Is it fat or is it muscle that you're losing, or is it just water that you're losing? Okay, so we need to make sure that we are not losing our muscle mass. We need to maintain the muscle mass, or the best case scenario, you should be working on increasing it and reducing the body fat percentage. In that case, the body would still look very lean and it will be stronger than what it used to be. With added muscle mass, you will be stronger. This is irrespective of your gender. Doesn't really mean that a lady would end up looking like a guy if they start strength training and they start building muscles. No. So they need to have that hormone, which I'm sure you all know, the testosterone hormone, in enough quantities to make them look masculine. So they are not going to end up looking like that. It's really important that the focus on muscle mass is maintained. Now let's understand energy balance. This is one important thing which you need to understand if you really want to achieve great heights in terms of fat loss or muscle gain. So what is energy balance? Your body spends a certain amount of energy in a day, which we call as a total daily energy expenditure. Now this total daily energy expenditure has few components. One is your basal metabolic rate, which is nothing but the amount of energy that your body requires to function at rest. Okay, so this is the minimum amount of energy that your body is going to spend just to function and live. Okay, then is your exercise activity. Few people exercise for 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week. That has an impact, and that has an impact on the energy expenditure of your body. So every single day you will have a varying effect, because some days you're working out, some days you're not. So and the exercise activity is a component that adds up to your BMR to help contribute the total daily energy expenditure. Now the next component is a very important yet very overlooked component, which is your NEAT, N-E-A-T, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which means that anything that you're doing while you're not at the gym and while you're not sleeping, this contributes to your NEAT. So all the voluntary and involuntary movements that you do, like I'm moving my hand here, and there are so many other things that we do on a day-to-day basis, the steps that we track, all these things lead to your NEAT, which has good 20-25% impact on your total energy expenditure. So there is this research which shows that actually it's a study that shows that when we compare the NEAT of people who were into desk job and somebody into field job, there was a huge difference in terms of the caloric expenditure that they did. Okay, so now NEAT is really important, and it should be really focused on more, I mean much more than the exercise activity when it comes to energy expenditure. Okay, then is your thermic effect of food. What is the thermic effect of food? So basically, when before producing energy for your body, all these food components that breaks down require some amount of energy to get digested and be utilized for energy development or energy production. Okay, so that's the thermic effect of food. So the highest thermic effect of food is for protein. Okay, so that's one more reason why you should be focusing on having good amount of protein in your diet. Okay, apart from maintaining your muscle mass, this is one more reason why you should be focusing on increasing the protein intake in your diet. Okay, so your total daily energy expenditure is composed of 4 components. First one is your BMR, second is your exercise activity, third is your NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and the fourth is the thermic effect of food. So all these components clubbed together will give you a total daily energy expenditure. Now total daily energy expenditure could be found, could be calculated using 2 different formulas. One is a Miffin's formula and one is a McArdle formula. Okay, so these formulas give a theoretical value, but to know what your actual total daily energy expenditure value is, you need to follow. So let's say your total daily energy expenditure comes down to 2500 calories. That's just an example. So it means that at 2500 calories your body will remain as it is. It will neither gain nor lose anything. So you need to follow that amount of calories to identify whether your total daily energy expenditure is actually 2500 or not. So if you lose at 2500 calories, it means that your total daily energy expenditure is higher than that. If you gain at 2500 calories, it means that the total daily energy expenditure is less than that. So to be sure, you need to follow it and see how it's working for your body. So while we calculate our total daily energy expenditure, now we come down to a point where we can balance out between 2 things. We call as energy balance. What is it? It's calorie intake versus your calorie expenditure. So let me explain you with an example of a car. Okay, now your car has a primary fuel tank and then there is a reservoir. Okay, so let's say you have a total tank capacity of 35 liters. Now 5 liters is reservoir and 30 liters is your main tank. Now let's say you have to travel to a place which would require around 35 liters of oil. Now what you do is you just put 30 liters of oil, which means that your primary tank is short of 5 liters of oil, and it further needs that. So what it will do is it will go down to 30 liters, and then the 5 liters will be used from your reservoir. Okay, so the whatever amount of fuel that you fall short of, or when your primary tank is empty, you go back to your reservoir and start utilizing that for fuel for running your car, right? That's how your body functions as well. Your body relies on primary fuel source, which is coming from your food intake. Once that is over, it will look into the fat stores for getting that residual amount of energy. So let's say you burn 2000 calories in a day. Your body burns 2000 calories in a day, and you're eating 1500 calories in your diet. Okay, now there is a shortage of 500 calories, right? Now that 500 calories is going to come down from your body fat or your lean body mass. It should primarily, if you do it right, most of it would come from your stored body fat. So this is why we need to understand that the calorie or the energy balance is something that is really need to be achieved, so that you could work either on fat loss or muscle gain. So energy balance is really crucial. Now how do we lose fat? There are various ways that we lose fat, right? We have different kinds of diet. I was just coming across so many diets that we see: intermittent fasting, portion control, healthy eating, skipping breakfast, not eating carbs, no meals post 6 p.m. or hours of cardio. What is common in all these things that we do? The only thing common here is energy deficit. So what does that mean? Energy deficit means that you are creating a deficit amount of energy as compared to your energy expenditure, so that your body starts utilizing the stored fat. Okay, so let me explain you with an example. Let's say you are consuming 2500 calories a day. Okay, now you are eating 5 meals. So let's say if each meal was 500 calories each. Now if you cut down one meal, or if you skip your breakfast, or you're cutting down your carbs, which means that you're reducing calories from each meal. So cutting out one meal immediately drops 500 calories, right? So that way, each of these methods that we follow, be it IF, be it any clean eating or anything, what it really does is cuts down the usual caloric intake, which leads to fat loss. But is it a sustainable way, or is it a very scientific way of achieving what you want to? No. So there is a dead end that you might end up facing here. Now, if you're not being very accurate about what you're trying to do, or what method are you trying to achieve your fat loss goals or your weight gain goals, then you will end up either losing fat or losing a little amount of fat and then hitting a plateau, or losing a lot of muscles in the process, or losing just water weight in the process, or maybe gaining fat instead of gaining muscles. These are few problems that you might face. It's really important that you take a scientific approach towards achieving your goals, which comes to quantified nutrition. So what is quantified nutrition? Quantified nutrition is a way wherein we measure things and eat. Now you would say that how can we measure food and eat on a daily basis? Okay, let me give you an example here. Now let's compare it with finance. So every month we have a certain amount of budget that we can spend. Okay, now if we are not being very particular about it, and if we just start saving here and there, we might still save some money. But if you really want to have a goal that you want to save a certain number, then you have to be very specific in terms of the expenses that you do, the activities that you do, right? Similarly, quantified nutrition helps you in that way. Okay, it helps you achieve a certain amount of calories that you're eating in a day based on the energy expenditure that you have. So quantified nutrition is really important. So nutrition is nothing but food and nutrients that you eat that provides energy and does a lot of activities in your body. Now, the nutrients that we have, these nourishes your body, right? So nutrients can be divided into two classifications: macronutrients and micronutrients. Now, macronutrients are everything that we consume in larger quantities. Micronutrients are things which we consume in smaller quantities. So macronutrients are protein, carbohydrate, fat, alcohol and water. All these macronutrients, apart from water, yield some amount of calories per gram of their consumption. So protein gives you 4 calories per gram, carbohydrates gives you the same 4 calories per gram, fat gives you 9 calories per gram, alcohol gives you 7 calories per gram, and water is 0 calories. Now coming to micronutrients. Micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. They help in our bodily functions. Okay, so they are really important. So there are different types of vitamins, water soluble, fat soluble vitamins. That's the reason there is a certain amount of fat intake that is required in our body, apart from considering the overall things that we have. But quantified nutrition is one very efficient way to ensure that you are going in the right direction. You are losing a certain amount of weight or a certain amount of fat every single week, making sure that you don't hit a plateau. Even if you have hit a plateau, you will know what needs to be done to get out of it. If you don't do it in this way, you might lose, and even by following portion control and not tracking calories, but you will not know the answer, or you will not know the way to go forward if you hit a plateau. So it's really important that you follow quantified nutrition. Okay, to understand quantified nutrition, you need to start reading food labels. Okay, now food labels are something which you see behind every single food item. That a packaged food item, if you take a packaged food item, you will find a nutrition label on the behind. It says per 100 gram it has this much amount of fat, this much amount of carbs, this much amount of fiber, this much amount of protein, all these things, and further sub classifications is also available. So reading the nutrition label helps you understand what amount of calories a particular food item has. If a certain food item that you feel that it's not mentioned, like fruits, vegetables, you could use certain apps. Like we have a Fitter app which tells you how much amount of calories a particular food item has. It has all the recipes, it has a way of tracking food. Okay, what I'll do is I'll put a link up, and it will also show you how to track calories on the app. So that could help you track whatever you're eating on a day-to-day basis. It will tell you what amount of calories, what amount of protein, carbohydrate and fat each particular food item is given. So when you talk about quantified nutrition, it's really important that you maintain a certain amount of protein intake in a day. Okay, if you are into strength training, you should be consuming around 1.8 to 2.2 grams per kg of your lean body weight. I'm mentioning lean body weight is because, for example, a person is 100 kilos, but that person has 10 kgs of fat. So now we reduce that 10 kgs of fat and give the 90 kgs is your lean body weight. Okay, so lean body weight is nothing but your body fat minus the fat mass, which will give you the lean body weight. That needs to multiply it by 1.8 grams to identify what your total protein intake should be. Now, if you are not working out or not doing strength training or into aerobic training, some for kind of cardiovascular training, then your protein requirement comes down to 1.3 to 1.5 grams per kg of your lean body weight. And if you are not doing anything, the minimum amount of protein that you should be consuming is somewhere between 0.8 to 1 grams per kg of lean body weight. So this much amount of protein is necessary so that you don't end up losing muscle mass, or you lose tons of muscle mass in the process of losing weight. However, it's really important to ensure that you maintain a certain amount of muscle mass. It's to do with the kind of stimulus that you provide to your muscles so that it would need to be there or grow more, okay, which comes from strength training. Now coming to fat. The fat intake of your day should not fall below 15 to 20% of your total caloric intake. Why? Because like I mentioned, there are certain fat soluble vitamins for which fat is really required. Fat also helps in secretion of a lot of hormones, so fat is really important. Now carbohydrates is a primary source of fuel. We all love to eat carbohydrates. You need not cut down carbohydrates. You could still be flexible about it and you could still have all kinds of carbohydrates in your diet, but the end goal is to not surpass your total caloric intake, which you should be taking to achieve a certain goal. Okay, now coming to the next thing, the factors affecting fat loss. Okay, factors affecting fat loss, what we usually think is we are gaining fat because we are eating sugar, we are gaining fat because we are eating more oil or fat, because fat makes you fat, right? No, it's not. So we also blame carbohydrates for making us fat. We believe that gluten is leading to all the fat gain. Well, all these factors are not really the cause of fat gain. What is the cause of fat gain is over intake of calories as compared to your caloric expenditure. So either you are overeating calories or you are not burning enough calories, which is leading to even normal eating is higher caloric intake than what you are spending in a day. So the real factors affecting fat loss is your diet adherence, your activity levels, which I really focused on, your non-exercise activity levels and your exercise activity levels. Both have a huge impact on how much amount of energy expenditure you will have. So this is really important. Sleep. Okay, there was a research done wherein two different groups slept a bit. One group slept a bit less and the other group slept for 8.5 hours, and the other group just slept for 5.5 hours, and the difference being the body composition that they lost at the end of the process was the same or similar, but what happened is the group of people which slept less, which was around 5.5 hours on an average, they lost more of the body composition from muscles. Okay, so they ended up losing more muscles in the process. So it's really important that you sleep good 7 to 8 hours every single day, and you are stress free as well. Also, there are certain roles of hormones impacting your fat loss. Now we blame completely the hormones affecting that. Hormones have so much impact that you're not losing any fat, but it's not really true. However, there is definitely an impact in your hormones on your fat loss process. That's the reason there is a certain limit or a rate of fat loss that you should be focusing on, rather than having a goal like losing 10 kgs in 1 month. You should not do that. You should not exceed more than 1% of your body weight loss per week. 1% is the maximum amount that you should be looking. Why? Because it has a huge impact on your hormone levels, which will have an impact on your lifestyle. Now there are certain hormones which reduces while you're losing fat, like you start losing your the leptin level goes down, the thyroid level, which thyroid hormones which has a direct impact on your metabolic rate, that goes down. Your testosterone level goes down, the estradiol level goes down. Okay, and there are certain hormones which goes up, like ghrelin, which is a hunger hormone, which will make it difficult for you to follow a diet. That would go up. the cortisol hormone, which leads to more catabolic reactions in your body, that would go up. So all these hormones will have an impact on your fat loss goals. So it's really important that you have a lifestyle which is completely devoted to fitness, because it should be as important as brushing your teeth, honestly. And for that to happen, you have to have a sustainable approach towards fitness. You cannot go on a harsh kind of dieting which you could only follow for a few weeks, but you cannot maintain them. It's really important that you understand what quantified nutrition is and find a way to achieve it, making it sustainable. Now, once you have achieved, once you have figured out a way to diet, on how to track calories and how to achieve your goals by following a certain amount of calorie eating, then let me explain you the concept of strength training. Strength training is something wherein you are using your body and putting a resistance on it and train against that resistance. Why is it required? It's required, like I mentioned, muscle mass is really important for giving you strength, for making you look better, for making you look stronger, for making you actually stronger, and preventing a lot of issues like reduction in muscle mass. It avoids reduction in muscle mass. There is an improvement in posture. So there are a lot of muscle imbalances which could lead to a posture issue, which means that lower back pain, knee pain, these all things could also be because of a certain muscle imbalance or weak muscle groups around that area. It's really important to focus on muscle building. It also helps in reduction of the age-related degeneration process, which is called muscle atrophy. Improve functional strength and endurance. Optimal performance. You could so basically, when you are aiming at fitness, you would always want to make it progressive, right? So let's say I can do 10 push-ups today. After a few weeks, I would want to do 20 push-ups. So that way your goals always keep on adding up. So it's really important that you put on muscle mass so that you can generate that kind of strength to do that. Okay. A better cardiovascular health, which is your heart health, will also improve with working out on a regular basis, and efficient daily activity. So it's really important that we focus on training as well. But the goal of training is not really to burn calories, because we don't really burn a lot of calories while training. It is somewhere around 100 to 300 calories that we burn in an hour of intense session. So somewhere between 200 to 300 would be the majority of people would be burning. But what people usually do is they overestimate the amount of calories that they burn, and they end up eating more calories just to compensate that. So let's say people go to the gym, they did some HIIT or some kind of boot camp training, and they think that they burn 700-800 calories in that session. They go back home and they're hogging on food because they have burned 700-800 calories, and they think that they have all the liberty to eat a lot of calories. Well, they overestimated the calories. This is one major reason why people are gaining so much fat. Okay, so this is one important. And again, I would want to focus on not blaming certain food items for fat gain. It's to do with your overall caloric intake. So energy balance stays at the top, and then strength training should be done to support that model and to get you fitter. Okay, so hope this session helps. What you can do is you can leave all your questions on the comments, and I'll be happy to answer it. Now I'll give you my links where you can follow me on, and I'll also put the link where you can track your calories, you can track your workouts. On the Fitter app, we have free diet charts, free workouts that you can do, and also it gives you a community where you can come up with your questions, which will be answered for free. All the questions are being answered, all fitness related questions will be answered for free there. So you can utilize that community to help yourself to learn more and to spread the knowledge that you get from fitness to others. And it's really important that when people like you have this kind of knowledge on nutrition and fitness, it passes on to people very easily. So since you are in a respectable job and you want to focus on maintaining your own lifestyle, but you can also help your patients to develop this lifestyle, which will help them spread more fitness among all the individuals around us and help bring the community to a better fitness level. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me here. Thanks a lot.